Ask Andy, another session. We want to talk something about something very specific because we're going to be doing a course soon. It's called Improvers. Now, the precursor
I'm going to put the guitar down.
No, you might need it. So the precursor to Improvers was Strugglers, and the precursor to Strugglers is Beginners. But here's the thing. It's a musical journey, and the difficulty is, and this is where Improvers comes in, how do you know where you're starting, and then how do you know what your destination is for that journey? And then you've got to describe how you get from A to B. So Improvers is, and it's different for lots of different people. People can be great strummers. They can like to do solo and improvisation. They might be able to do it, but the technique is questionable sometimes. But how do you get them to improve? So they are where they are. So how do they know where they are as levels? And then how can you, in a course for one day, take them to a better place? And they feel more comfortable and confident about not all the skills, but some of the key ones.
Okay, how do you know what level you're at?
That's the key one, isn't it? Impossible question.
That's an impossible. Well, it's
and this is for 3 minutes.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and do it quick. If you really want to know what level you're at, you should go and find a teacher. I'm just keeping that quick because I think the difficulty is we all assess ourselves in different ways. So I've met people, and I'm sure you have, who will come on a course who think they're brilliant, who really aren't, and I don't mean that in a horrible way, but they think, I can play this song and I've done this gig and I play in this band and I do this, but technically their technique is all over the place and it's really holding them back. So they actually have the potential to be superb. So they have the confidence as a person to come across as really confident, but then you put them on stage and I think, I couldn't use you. And then you have the other person who's sat in the corner who's very quiet and thinks they're rubbish, who actually turns out to be really good. So how do you assess where you're at? I think it's good to get assessed by somebody who really knows what they're doing and says, okay, these are the areas you're good at, these are the areas you're struggling in. If you can't do that or you don't want to do that, film yourself and be critical. Okay, so beginner level, is your posture right? Can you stay in time? Do you know all your open position chords or most of your open position chords? Can you play them cleanly? Can you move between them smoothly? Yeah. And do you understand what it is you're playing? So do you understand what a G is?
I've got to highlight that one bit because I will say to people, you can play all your open chords. It's not just that. It's this business being able to, as you say, change fluently, smoothly. Because, if you get someone changing from an A minor to a D minor, they can do it, but not in time and with no groove. Yeah,
so I do just a little exercise you can do for yourself is you can pick, I want you to go through the cycle of keys. Okay, if you don't know what that is, you can look it up. We can tell you in another video maybe. But if you're going through the cycle of keys, and you're just going to start probably working in the key of C, G, D, A, E, F. So those
and leave that,
5 or 6. I don't know how many I just said just then, but start with those, and just make sure that you can play the 7 diatonic chords for each of those keys at the lower end of the neck. Some of those are going to be bar chords, some aren't. Bar chords kind of come in when you get to an improver's level. So if you're a beginner, you're probably looking at debut grade up to around grade 3 would be classed as beginner. Grades 4 and 5 would be classed as intermediate. Grades 6, 7, and 8 would be classed as advanced. So you could also have a go at playing some graded pieces and just see whether or not you're capable of doing them. And can you do everything that's in the book? If you could sight read something, then you're fine. But yeah, you need to be able to assess yourself realistically.
So okay, that's the beginning bit.
That's the beginning bit.
You've established where you are.
Once you've established where you are,
where
how
you
do you
get
better?
to, and where do you want to get to?
So there's the big point. Where do you want to get to? And therefore, set yourself a goal and set yourself a timeline to achieve it. What happens if
people just like playing and they haven't really got a goal? What happens then?
Well, then you're just playing for fun. So
that's
absolutely fine.
You just wander?
Yeah, that's fine though. If you don't have a goal, it depends what your goal is. Is your goal to get better as a player for yourself? And that's fine. So just get really good at playing the things you want to play, but get good at them by playing as much as possible.
So we get to the Improvers course then. We start at 10 o'clock in the morning. You need to establish who can do what. Yeah. So as a group where you're going to go with this course.
I'm going to find out very quickly who can do what. The first thing I would do is a rhythmic warm-up.
So give us as you're doing, just because you don't want loads on this, but it's going to last longer than 3 minutes.
So you want to be able to to be on the improvers course, you basically want to know your open position chords.
Well, let me read from Strugglers. Strugglers is always A, D, and E.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. What would you do with A, D, and E to check them out on an improvers course?
On an improvers course, well, immediately can you move in time? So if I go, right, here's the groove. Deck it up, baby, shake it up, baby. It's in the wrong key, but there you go.
Okay.
So I'd be like, right, if I can put a drum beat on, can you all in the room play in time to the drum beat, but
And will
also
you be able
move
to pick anybody
chord?
out who's not quite...
Yeah, well, I will pick them out to help them, but I'm not going to pick them out to pick on them.
No, absolutely not.
So I think that's really important to remember is when you come on a Guitar Weekends course, it's basically a family.
Yeah.
But a family that get on.
And
we're all here. Don't put yourself up against the player next to you. And actually, usually you'll find that the guys and girls that come on these courses are really nice. And the person next to you, if they can do it, the whole point of
They'll
it is.
help.
I watched a great interview the other day, right? I don't know if anyone remembers Mythbusters, but the guy who was on there, I can't remember his name now, which is really bad. But he was the one without the hat. He was interviewing a NASA astronaut who was talking about the process of how they went through. And he got to the point where they said, who's a good swimmer? Put your hand up if you think you're a good swimmer. And like a load of people put their hands up. Put your hand up if you're not a good swimmer. Him and two other people put their hands up. And he thought, that's it, I'm out. And he went, and they said, no. So anyone that didn't put their hands up, you're off for the weekend. Anyone who did put their hands up, you're going to stay, and you're going to practice swimming all weekend. The ones that are good, you're going to work with the ones that are bad, and you're going to teach them so that the course does not move on until everyone passes the next stage. And that's how we like to do it in a way, is we're there to work as a room. So the people next to you should help you. So let's say you can do it. Let's say I just want to work out what you can do, though. For improvers, you need to be able to pick the groove I'm playing and do it so that we're all working in time. Strugglers, you'll find everyone's struggling to a certain degree, so people aren't in time. But if I'm going... So I'm actually keeping I want to see people's foot tapping. I want to see they're doing the strumming, whether it's up or down in the right way. And I want feel to be good. That's really improvers, is adding feel to someone who was struggling and getting it in time and grooving.
Do you know what the thing I always pick up on these courses? Everybody will say, well, I'm playing the same as you, and I'm actually in time, but it doesn't sound the same. And we go into a big rigmarole and how you make it sound good. But I think that's part of improvers. But I think the other key thing, which is in this particular course, is that people are at different levels, and you'll play something and people will just about get that. But when you take it up a notch, and it is about taking things up notches as we go through the day, they can still play at that level and make sure at least at that level that's sounding perfect.
Yeah, well, somebody else could be, I might put them there, or so we can easily adapt the room to fit the people that are there. So everyone is always playing all of the time. I don't like these courses that people go, I hear that they paid all this money and then they didn't play for half the day.
That's horrible.
But, you should be playing from moment one. But let's say what we might cover on an improvers course. I mean, you've done these quite a lot, but for me it would be, I'd want people to walk away with, a number of songs that they are going to be playing that we led up to through exercises.
Yes.
And that will be chordal exercises, rhythmical exercises to do with a plectrum, rhythmical exercises to do with different time signatures, to discuss how the time signatures work and how that affects our strumming, different patterns we can do, how to really get good with a plectrum, up and down and why you would choose certain ways. Finger style, yeah. I mean, if you can walk away, you can go, I've learned a good amount here about, and I'm going to go away and I'm going to be able to play a really nice song by Simon and Garfunkel or Jason Mraz or whatever. And then the next minute, I'm like, now I know what a ninth chord is, and I only need to put it in 3 positions, and I can go, I feel good. And it's that the whole time. Oh, well, great. Well, now what Andy's done is he's actually given me some songs that I thought would be quite hard. Oh, blimey. Actually, they're really easy. They're not hard, and there's an exercise within that, which is, hey, here's a D7, I'll put it here. One of those things, like just in an improver, to get people to move back and forth and for the notes to keep sounding.
It's hard.
little things like that is really what we focus on there. So that when you go home, you're like, okay, now I've got a goal. I didn't come in with a goal, but now I've got one.
I know that every time you do one of these, songs are a big part.
They must be. That's what we want to play.
Exercises, they all lead to songs. So they go away with a wealth of songs. And then the other thing, which you've already hinted at there, is this subject of caged. It's huge, as for all guitarists, there should be.
Yeah.
That's really introducing bar chords in the caged approach.
Yeah, or just a general shape. I mean, this shape, how is it related to cage? No, well, it's related to a B7 and anything. Well, what's that related to? But let's just say you have a shape, and that shape doesn't have any open strings. Well, that's now a movable shape. So definitely when you leave the improvers, one of the things we really focus on is, okay, we want to get you to understand the fretboard. Okay, so just tricks of learning it, like, okay, if I know where the octaves are, they're all E.
Should make a song of that.
I don't like my octaves. No, I don't. No, GCSE composition, ladies and gentlemen. But you could be like, well, how are those related to cage? But that's another video, really. Right. But improvers, there's all, and you could call it improvers at any level you're at,
right?
Really.
But we're going to wrap this up now. Yeah. But one thing which is about, it's improving during the class, but it's giving them something at the end and something to work on where they can carry on improving themselves, but in a structured way.
Yes, exactly. So the way I like to write courses is that, I mean, I'm always very over the top with my materials, trying to be meticulous, and you get this, and it's kind of like a book, and the book is a number of sessions. It's the reason I do that is I think, well, that's how I would have liked to have been taught. That's just my personal thing. I want to go away and go, that's how I'm going to practice. So session 1, I'm going to focus on that for a whole week because obviously we're going through a reasonable speed, but that I don't think is so much of an issue because we video little things within the lesson. So actually, you then have those videos, and then you have the materials, and the materials are impeccably clear. A lot of time goes into them, so that when you're at home, you can go, well, that's fine. I was struggling on that. That's the thing I'm going to focus on.
Actually, it's a good point. We should say that in all our courses, and it'll be in improvers, if people are struggling, then they can always ask you again as questions, because that's the idea. It's interactive. You're there, and you can actually spend some one-on-one time with them to explain. Because we always say, if somebody's asking a question, they're guaranteed it's not just them thinking it. And there's a whole bunch of people who have stayed quiet.
Well, and often we go off a little bit off piece, where somebody asks a question and it kind of opens the can,
But sometimes it's worth going into that.
It's really worth going into it because actually, you can write a course, but you don't know what the standard of the people are and what their knowledge is until they get there. So some of it we might not need to do. So let's open that can.
Yeah. But it's about non-stop playing.
Yeah, and we want to do these videos as well in a way that if you struggle with something, you think, I wouldn't mind asking a question. We'll discuss it in some videos afterwards. It's good. But
and the other thing, of course,
what's the date of the improvers course? I know this
16th inch. Sorry, but the other thing that's very good.
16th of November 2024. So if you've watched this video after that date, check the website out. We run improvers.
Yeah, you need a TARDIS.
Up north as well with Gary.
Yeah, we've got improvers up north, and that's on that's the weekend before.
They run across the whole year,
But the other thing about these improvers is that we try to have a decent time on the day. We try and have a bit of fun. It is non-stop playing, but we try to have, when we do have fun. You can't help with you not having a bit of fun.
Wow, that's only because I'm mildly mental.
There you go.
Mildly mental indeed. They like to call me an M&M.
So I think that's hopefully giving people a decent idea of it. So you can go to the website, just go to improvers, have a look at all of the schedule. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And in fact, I've done another one. So should we call it quits there?
Absolutely.
Good.
See you next time.